crude continues to trade in a range, but it's really having a hard time finding support this week. Luke, let's take a look at the 5-day chart because it seems to be fundamentals are really stretched at this point.
Yeah, you would think so, but again, I got to go back to the same thing we've been saying for the last year. I just think that these short-term numbers are what's keeping crude down on a day-to-day basis, and then when you look at the dollar had a strong move versus what's going on in the European Union, in the Euro, Greece, everything that you already know about. So it's kind of pushing it down. It definitely has been trading in a tighter range for the summer than I thought it would, but still, we've had that 60 level that we've been trying to break through, and it's pretty close to it. So I think it's actually traded decently for the last few months.
Well, we're in the middle of the key seasonal summer driving demand, and we're also going to July 4th weekend. I think the issue here is that we're not seeing that big summer drawdown in the refined products.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. The drawdown in the refined products hasn't been that much or as expected, but you still got to remember, in relation to crude, nobody uses crude oil for anything. They use refined crude oil, and there's only limited capacity to make jet fuel, to make unleaded gasoline, et cetera, et cetera. So I am a little bit surprised that we haven't drawn down more so far this summer, but I still think we stay in this tight range. And relative to other asset classes right now, I like the range that oil is in versus if you look at stocks or other currencies or treasuries. So I still like crude. I think the way we play it right now, it's selling some out-of-the-money calls and selling some out-of-the-money puts, saying that if it goes higher, we're willing to sell it. If it goes lower, we're willing to buy it.
What happens when we get into the shoulder season, meaning that's when demand really takes a step back? Do you have any concerns longer term if supply is really high right now?
I don't know. That'll kind of depend on what's going on, a few things that are kind of geopolitical and also regulatory. Are the import-export laws going to change for how much crude we can import and export, or if we can export some of the oil that's drilled here in the U.S.? And then what's going on with the marginal producers? So far, it's been going on, as you and I have discussed, for the past few months. OPEC put a lot of pressure on these marginal producers, and a lot of them are basically out of business or they've had to sell off their assets. The big players aren't really coming in there right now, ExxonMobil and Chevron, and starting anything new. They're doing a little more importing, and they're not wildcatting, so to speak, as much as they should be. We'll have to see how that moves on and how that plays out later in the year to get a good idea of how much internal supply there's going to be in the U.S.
All right, thanks very much, Luke. Have a great holiday.
See you soon. Thanks.
For TheStreet in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino.